All right, hello everybody. Welcome to a brand new monthly reading. What a great way to kick off the new month with you and the week as well. I'm going to put Apollo on the floor here so we could get chatting here. First and foremost, my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. Let me just grab my iPad on the side here so I can make sure that I'm monitoring what we're doing. What we're going to be taking a look at here over the course of the next few moments here is the next 6 to 8 weeks. The whole reason that I show up each and every month is to help you basically make the best decisions possible. So there's a lot of readers out there that may sometimes make you nervous or whatever, but what I'm really here to do is to help you see that you have the power to shift things in the right direction. And we're going to work together today, okay? This is the format for the reading. I always like to begin with channeled messages. That's messages that come from spirit that oftentimes tie to nature. Today it's going to be looking at the tortoise or land turtle to kind of help us be patient with ourselves, to see progress through a different lens. And then we'll get into the cards and take a look at the overall trajectory, opportunities, possible challenges. And like I said earlier, I'll give you all the options so you can make the best choices. And really what we're looking for is chances for growth, oftentimes looking for a path where there's not as much resistance, where we can actually thrive in each and every moment. So we'll be looking at that. And then we'll take a look at the expanded forecast where we can focus on health, wealth, love, and destiny. And the rest of the reading is very interactive. There'll be some viewer choices where you can help me vote on certain things. There'll also be a chance for us to dig a little deeper into some of the bigger issues at hand. And let me put this to the side and we'll get started. I've already lit the candles for today, so the protection and intention is already in place, which allows us to get straight into the messages here, since we have a lot to talk about. So also just to kind of answer a question about the timing, I'm still doing this a little bit earlier because they are still doing construction above me and I'm still looking for a new place to live. So hopefully by the time I'm doing readings next month, I can shift it to the normal time or I'll be relocated. So it's probably I'll still be here for another month, I think, but it should be done upstairs. So thank you so much for your patience and cooperation as I've kind of shifted the times around. So you can keep in touch with what's going on, remember, subscribing is free, and if you opt into notifications when I do impromptu readings or special readings on the fly, you'll have a chance to know that. So if you haven't already subscribed, please do that. It does help the channel, and it allows you to chat in real time here. So only positives by doing that. If you also want some reminders of when I go live, you can join me on social media. I always put reminders out, and I use the stories primarily for that. And you can also show some love and support if you'd like to for what I'm doing here by using the super chat, super sticker option, and then also there's something called super thanks on replay. And again, that helps me replenish supplies. And this month I'm actually doing an extra reading because of your support, one in the middle of the month, so an extra bonus reading. And we'll be focusing on the authentic you. And this is kind of in honor of Pride Month because I think everybody has a moment in their life where they need to come out, be authentic, love and accept themselves. And I think that we can all deal with themes of love, acceptance, and celebrating that. And so I'm going to do something around the middle of the month in honor of that. So that's my extra bonus reading, and there'll be, again, more to it than just that. But I listened to feedback, and it sounds like you guys enjoyed the bonus reading, so I'm throwing an extra one in. All right, let's get into your channeled messages. For today, we'll be focusing on one that is going to test patience. Again, it's the turtle or the tortoise to be more specific. As I was doing my research, I realized that turtle is all tortoises are turtles, but not all turtles are tortoises. Basically, tortoises are like land turtles, and then turtle can be like an aquatic creature as well. So I want to be specific. We're talking about the land turtle or the tortoise. So let me bring up the presentation, and we'll talk about how this important symbol will play into the month ahead. So there we go, cute little turtle here, or tortoise here. When I think about this particular totem, I think about really two different cards. We're going to focus first on the Hermit, and then we'll look at the Fool, because it really constitutes both. It has the energy of both. The Hermit, of course, because it can retract its limbs and go within. And it also has a really tough outer shell. It kind of puts its bones on the outside, if you will. And this month you could be tested in any number of ways, at work perhaps, maybe in a close family relationship or friendship, where someone may try to test your strength. They may also be trying to test your patience. And what's good about the Hermit, and sometimes if it's reversed, I will say come out of your shell. But if we just look at the Hermit, there is value of going within. Because a lot of times we're focused on, particularly if you're in a corporate environment, but also like if you're trying to please a mom or dad or someone that's very sort of progress oriented. We're always focused on where are we mapping? What kind of progress have we made? Have we met the deadline? Not always should we be doing this so fast, or is this accomplishing the goals we've set out? Not just the deadline, but is it like good? Is it a good product? Is it a good reason? Am I feeling like I'm growing? It's not just about hitting these arbitrary milestones. So the Hermit's coming through to ask us to go introspective and to be really mindful about, does this make sense? And unfortunately, we are sometimes too focused on the finish line, not the race itself, not the sort of development within, because it's not just always about work. It's about like, what am I getting out of this? And then also, what are other people getting out of this? Is the collective benefiting from it? Okay. So that's actually a sort of heady and introspective version of the Hermit here. It's really saying slow down, analyze, understand, interpret, soak it all in before you go to the next level. So it's intentionally slower. And you see he's holding the star there in his lantern. There's going to be plenty of time to make up for any sort of feeling that you're losing time or that you're not making the progress that you need. I put a few things here at the end on that second paragraph that I think are important. The Hermit and the Turtle together teach us the importance of going within so that we understand what inspires, what moves us, what triggers our lower frequency energies like fear or anxiety, and then also what lights that passion, which is what he's holding there in the lantern. If we just hop from lily pad to lily pad, we're not really ever focusing on if we're going in the right direction or if we're just continuing on one path. And that was one thing in my own life that I was forced to kind of do when I decided to leave one path and do another. And I had someone that could have saved me time too, and I wasn't ready to hear it. And they said, why do you keep going to the same job and expecting a different experience? I was in like pressure cooker type jobs and I was stressed out. And of all people, I was talking to a nutritionist at the time, and she said, it's not just about, and I was having a hard time like not getting sick because I was run down. And she said, it's not just what you're eating. It's not your body. Your body's just speaking up because you're not listening. And she said, if you really want to change, you're going to have to change the environment and the path because you're not happy. And I waited like another 6 or 8 years before I took the advice. But it was because I was trying to, sometimes you think, well, I went to school for this, or I'm trying to, people will think I'm crazy if I make this shift, or what will my parents think, or what will my friends think, or all of this stuff. And eventually I just thought, I need to do it for health and happiness. So listen, go within. One thing that I was looking at in dreams this morning, and it was beautiful, and it's something that I love too, and I might put some more energy into, but it was just sort of like sketching things out. I have some things on the last slide here, but just scribbling, doodling, drawing can be really a great way to connect with your muses. And it doesn't have to be beautiful. It's just about kind of like engaging this and kind of bringing the energy through your body. So like what children do with finger painting, for instance, is amazing. So something hands-on, something where it just feels good, maybe even cooking, like kneading dough, I don't care, but I'm seeing like keeping your hands busy and kind of getting lost in the creative process could be very beneficial. But definitely drawing, if I have any artists out there, my guides were showing me the importance of sketching, drawing, and scribbling, because it will help you connect to your divine side. I think of the TV medium Tyler Henry or whatever, where he just sits there and scribbles. It doesn't necessarily look beautiful, but it is a way to connect. But I was seeing something more tangible coming out of this. So again, it could be like getting your hands in the dirt, kneading dough. Maybe you are going to do something creative and create a presentation, but you might want to sketch it out if you have the skills to do it. What it's doing is just helping the energy get out of your head and into the real world. Even if it's just in a little stick figure, it's now starting to take shape and form. If we think of someone that is a sculptor or a painter, they start with a stroke. They start with one chisel in the stone. It doesn't look beautiful to start with. It's just a beginning. So even that is like a stick figure. You just have to start somewhere. And knowing what you're trying to do is what the Hermit is talking about. Focus on progress, not speed. I already hit on this a little bit. So the Fool is about taking the first step. And movement can be deceptive. The speed with which it's happening, and also the sort of impact a very small shift or movement can have in the whole big picture when you think about it. A change of heart, a change of mind, one phone call, one email, one step can absolutely alter your lifetime for the better. So it's not about sprinting. It's not about, I don't know, like for some of you, if there's this feeling that I have to catch up or I'm not making progress. The progress is not always, it's kind of like people that can't take a test well, but that doesn't mean that they haven't gained the knowledge. So thankfully, we're seeing, at least here in the States, certain standardized tests for universities go away, because it really is just a test of how well you can take a test. Application of skills and knowledge, much more important than regurgitation of. It is one way to quantify like skills and abilities, but hands-on tests are just as valuable. So are you really, is it so important to kind of worry about like what the grade is, what the title is, and how far you've come, versus really on a soul level, what kind of progress is being made? So what's going on here? What's going on here? How does this connect with your bigger path? You know, I'll put this back on the the weekly options, but I've been having one here over the past few weeks called like the North Star, the soul trajectory. And I think that would be one that's interesting to look at, to see how are you mapping to your soul. And we can kind of look at that today for you because it's coming up. But that's one thing that I think is a bigger question that you can ask yourself, you know, periodically. How does this feel? Is this what I set out to accomplish? Do I like this? The last paragraph is so important. And even like the second sentence of the second bullet here, the inner stirring that's happening within you now can create momentum, can make things move faster. It's kind of like something rolling downhill. It may start slow at the beginning, but then it picks up pace. Same thing with the energy of your actions. The last piece here is saying moving quickly but having to backtrack is something that we see all the time here in, again, like corporations, for instance, or sometimes even just institutions, because they're just used to being rigid or they want certain things done a certain way. But short-term gains that require a lot of back step and kind of like retraction, it's not really progress. That's taking like one step forward and two steps back, and you're not really making any progress. So it would be better for you to be slow, methodical, and effective than to be fast and have to clean up and have to sort of be in that mop-up sort of, you know, mindset. So if you are anywhere where people are kind of like forcing you to just do something that's half-baked, best sort of metaphor that I can think of, then push back a little bit, or make sure that you're not going to be put on the spot because of something that feels like it's shoddy workmanship to you, okay? Always better to do the best at the beginning and put the best foot forward, okay? And that's another thing that the Fool can represent, is making sure that you're proud of what you're doing, not being foolhardy, not being foolish, really being mindful, okay? One day at a time. I see someone put one step at a time, one day at a time. I sometimes overly focus on the Ace of Pentacles. The Ace of Cups is really what the turtle energy is talking about here. So turtles hatch from an egg. They represent the need to basically nurture and feed new dreams. But the place that nurturing comes from is the heart. When you love a new baby, it needs to eat, but it also needs love. You can't just feed and then not love a baby. And even like with a puppy too, they need a combination of food and love, because that's what life needs on this planet. It's not just like a plant. There's feelings, there's a heart, there's a soul in it. Your dream kind of has that same energy too. You've got to love it, you've got to feed it, you've got to own it, because if you won't, how is someone else going to love it? So you have to treat it like a baby. And I've had dreams before where I can see like the baby's not ready to be born yet, symbolizing a project or an idea or a version of oneself that's not ready to come through just yet. Just like you don't want a premature birth, you have to focus on making sure that it's ready. And so don't deliver something until it's ready. Today, it's all about mindfulness, intention, patience, and love. I mean, if I have to kind of sum it up, those are the sort of main themes that are coming through for you. And I kind of like glossed over it earlier, but the speed with which a tortoise can move, it's excruciatingly slow sometimes. I think it was 0.02 miles per hour or something, like very slow, but it's moving. And patience is really what this is trying, like what we're being tested to sort of have more of this month. So patience is everything. I have temperance here. Take one step at a time, one day at a time, one heartbeat at a time. Don't force yourself. Don't force others. Don't allow others to pressure you into something that you're not ready for. Even though we're almost out of the retrograde here, there's still a little bit of a shadow here at the beginning of the month. So be mindful of that. We're looking into the next month, but for those of you that are watching live, you're going through the energy of June as we look at what's going to be coming through for July. So give yourself time. Look at things, read them all the way through, and make sure that you feel good about what you're about to do. And I was looking at how quickly turtles hatch from their eggs, and it's about 3 to 4 months. I think it was 90 to 120 days. So we're looking at a quarter-year cycle, and this was where sketching it out would be really important. The Two of Wands is mindful. It's very intentional, and it's saying, I'm dreaming and I'm thinking, but now I know what I want to do. Now I can be really inquisitive about like how I'm going to make this happen in my life, right? And so this is really the big opportunity for you is to, as I've always said, like just go doesn't always get you where you need to go. So start to think about how can I do this more effectively, more methodically, and how can I feel really good about this? Okay, and momentum comes later. That's the one thing that I kept picking up on as I was tuning in to what's availing itself to you. All right. So I'm going to take a look now at some of the cards here, and I'm just going to make sure that my alarms were turned off because that was going on. So while I'm doing this, if there's a deck you'd like me to use, go ahead and put it in the comments here, and I'll think about using that. I think one of the decks that I'd like to choose is Star Seeker. So let me go ahead and put the view of the desk here. Let's zoom in so you can see the desk, and let's get started here. So Star Seeker is one that's coming to mind. Let's see which other ones here that I think I saw Modern Witch. Someone wanted to have that in rotation, so we'll put that into rotation and see what else is coming through. All right, Afro Goddess. I'll put it out there, but people have not been voting for this one for some reason. I think because I was using it quite a bit, and then maybe because it has a beautiful turtle sort of indication on it, I might use the Wild Unknown. All right, I think this is actually a good cross selection of decks. So give me one moment here. Again, I'm just going to check on this alarm, make sure that I've got this turned off. I do not. So there we go. Let's turn off all of these alarms, and then I'll give you a chance to vote on this. Okay. So let me bring myself in here so you can see me and set up this poll for you, and then we'll get started. All right. All right, so we have Star Seeker here. And then we have Modern Witch. And then we have Afro Goddess. And then we have the Wild Unknown. All right, so I'll give you a chance to vote for those while I show you what they look like. So the Star Seeker Tarot is this one. A nice sort of soft, abstract deck, which is beautiful. And then we have a Rider-Waite-Smith derivative with brighter colors and a few modern interpretations as well. Okay, and then the Afro Goddess deck because someone requested that. And so again, beautiful. Everything looks like a painting on this deck, so I do love it. And then because there actually is a turtle in this particular deck, and there's a lot of animal totems in the Wild Unknown, so I like it for that. You can actually see all the major arcana are not the major arcana, but these suits are indicated with animals. So if you like animal totems, you can do this. And I know there's a turtle in here for the hermit as well. So that deck inspired me. All right, so let's see where we're at. Looks like Aphrogoddess is winning by 33%. Go Aphrogoddess. And Wild Unknown is tied with it. So if I don't see a winner on the two, I will possibly use them both. And because Aphrogoddess looks like it came in second, because it was close, maybe what I'll do is use this for the main spread and this for the expanded forecast. And I think I'll do that. Let me just check. The Wild Unknown won by 41%. They were tied for a moment, so I'll think about using this for the expanded. That way both of them get a shot. But it was a pretty clear winner that it's going to be Wild Unknown. All right, let's get started. I'm excited to see what's coming through. Again, you can use this for Sun, Rising, Moon, and Venus, but I will also have a special portion towards the end where I focus on Sun, Rising, and Moon messages in particular, so make sure that you watch that. Hopefully everybody's day is getting off to a good start, or if it's your evening, you had a good day. Good to have you here. I can't wait to see all the messages and opportunities in front of you. It's always exciting to kick off a new month and see what's coming through. Got a couple of cards here stuck together, so we'll honor that. Let's zoom out just a bit so we can see some of those cards. There we go. And let's get started. We're going to begin with your catalyst. Sometimes I forget to remind folks how the catalyst works. This is a way for you to initiate action, to create some movement, to stay into basically your highest energies. And I think that's going to be important for all of us. And a difficult but important message is coming through here. We see the throat chakra being highlighted here with that beautiful energy there, and then also how to sort of speak your mind. This would be like the nicest version of a Queen of Swords that you could ever get. Speaking with, I would say, heart-infused sort of like throat energy, because when I look at the colors here, we have beautiful green here, and then we have the blue of the heart. The whole card itself takes on this beautiful sort of like turquoise or aquamarine, or I'm trying to think of colors that would basically combine the two, but it's probably those two, like turquoise or aquamarine. Beautiful colorings of blues and greens. And this is, yeah, if I can get a shirt in this color, that'd be my favorite. I love these two colors put together. So if you speak from the heart, if you speak with kindness, if you speak with the sort of like hopes and wishes and betterment of everyone in mind, it's very hard for people to get angry, especially when they can feel the authenticity of what you're saying. So the most important thing here is to be truthful, to be honest, to speak from the heart, to be kind, and to try to lead by example. There are some people out there that just haven't had the training and a lot of times like to trigger you, or are just thoughtless. So you're going to have to be thoughtful, mindful, and heart-centered in your approach towards this. And I think that will help you with being candid, because in that way you can say I think avoiding the 3 dreaded words, it's 4, we need to talk. Instead saying, you could say I have some exciting news if there's something good. And if there's something difficult, you could say, I have some ideas. There's a few things here that need our attention. I'd love to get you on board. let's sort of like sketch some of this out. I'd love your insight. I'd love your insight is a better way to say we need to talk. And then say what it is that you want and try to get their buy-in that way. So just say, I need to be honest about something that's going on. I believe that you and I always have a way of working things out and seeing things eye to eye. Let me just put it on the table, and then I want you to know that I have a bunch of ideas on how we can solve this, and I'm open to yours as well. That's a nice, fun, or at least inviting energy versus we need to talk or this isn't working. Those sorts of words create like porcupine prickles all over, and you're like, I don't want to do this. You start to go on the defensive. So rather than throwing someone on the defensive, assume the best, try to set up some sort of a common goal or common interest and see where it goes from there. I know it's hard with some people. Trust me, there are some people where it just doesn't work. And if you can't be candid with them, maybe you're going to need someone else to step in, or maybe you have to be honest and say, if you're wondering why it's difficult, this is what makes it difficult. Why do you have to make that part difficult? Because I don't enjoy this. So you can always be honest about that. Just say it's not fun to argue, but you could do this and it would make it easier. So try to not be emotional. Try to go to the more analytical or like observational energy there and give them a way to do better. And that's my advice on the be candid portion of it. All right, let's go back into the cards here. Overall, pretty good. I could do without a few of these, but when I'm looking at your outcome, when I'm looking at some of the other energies, I like the trajectory, but we got to talk about a few things first. And I also love this. I always get corrections when people say, you didn't read the 10 of Pentacles. It is the 10. There's a 10th pentacle inside the center star. So before I get corrections on this is the 10 of Pentacles in this deck, but we'll talk about it. There's a hidden opportunity. You'll see it in a second, but there's a star within a star. All right, so your center card is the Four of Wands. Probably one of the best possible cards you could get for partnership. Also one of the best cards you could get for starting something new. This is like that movie Field of Dreams. You're setting out some sort of a foundation, and in that foundation, something good is going to come. And usually this is a partnership, people. So I really like this. If you've been trying to attract something, the highest possible partnership, the Four of Wands would be that. The Six of Cups, the Lovers, those are all energies that I would be looking for in a higher partnership. So teamwork is absolutely at the heart of your spread. You can do things on your own, but it's going to be better if you can rally forces. Things may happen more efficiently. We're not focusing so much on speed, but speed can be a part of it. So if you are feeling lethargic, uninspired, or you feel like it's taking too long, teamwork will help with this. And then all of a sudden it becomes more fun, momentum picks up, etc. And if the teamwork is lacking, that's where the focus is going to have to go first. But it starts by showing that you are friends with the other person, that you see eye to eye. You look at this and it's almost like a big iris at the center, right? So start by setting that, not that expectation, but like by reminding someone that you're happy to see them, you're happy to have them in your life, and that you share something in common, and see how they're doing and see if you can reconnect on that partnership level first, whether it's romantic or whether it's professional. It all starts with remembering that you care about each other, with extending mutual respect. It's when the respect is lacking that the porcupine sort of like things go up, and you don't really want that to happen, okay? The defense mechanism. There is work to be done this month. We can't hide from the Five of Wands, but what's interesting about this Five of Wands is it's kind of disorganized. We are lacking the typical people that we would see sort of, even if they were competing, they were still sort of like completing as well. So this reminds me of like, just a bunch of paperwork on the table, or a bunch of people in disparate and disorganized and different sort of directions, working in different directions. And one of the things that you have to do is sort of like a conductor, find a way to organize, orchestrate, inspire. And when we look at these two cards together, that is the connecting and reminding people that, yes, this is our common goal. We may be working in a lot of different areas. We may have a lot of different sort of influences, but this is why we're doing it. It's going to the heart of the matter, the heart of the spread. And this is finding some order in chaos, trying to find some connections here, trying to tie a web between all of this so that it can be more efficient and more sort of, just more sort of tied in. So work could, like work and progress and this sort of feeling of disorganization could get in the way of progress this month. So you're going to have to try to find a way to inspire and organize. And I think if you can do those two things, organize yourself, inspire yourself, and then by extension, inspire and organize others, then life will be a lot easier. We have the Sun card here in your deep past. And this is, for many of you, the feeling that something is overdue. This is a birthing card. In tarot, you would see a baby riding on a horse. It's a new beginning. Much like the Fool, it can kind of show this ability to just really put yourself out there. So for some of you, yes, it is time for something to happen. I guess one of the questions we could look at for you is, are you ready? Are you ready to move on? So for some of you that may be holding on to the memory of someone or something, it's not always easy to let go of that. And sometimes when someone or something new comes in, you're afraid that you're losing the connection to that person. This is particularly true of someone who's passed in spirit, like if you've been married, or it could be, again, something where you feel like, how will they deal with something without me? Let's say it's more like a job or a relationship, and there's this feeling that you are integral to the success, that only you can do it. The good thing, and sometimes the humbling thing in life, is that we are replaceable. There are ways that people can cope. And if we are staying out of pity or fear or out of obligation alone, that's not enough. There has to also be something deeper, especially if it is just, a job and you've hit the ceiling and you're looking for something new. Same thing in a relationship where it's more out of fear of, will I be alone? Or this thought of, well, this person, their life's a mess and all of this. And you have to look at the codependent energies of that as well. So there could be holding on to something, because ultimately the sun wants to shine. This is a very charismatic card, a very powerful card. When you think of the sun in relation to our universe, I don't know if I would have illustrated it the same way as Rider-Waite Smith did, because I guess it was Pamela Smith in particular, but because I think of it as one of the more powerful energies. So when I look at the sun card, I think of charisma, I think of solar plexus, I think of your ability to basically bring the order into your universe, because that's what this is. These are the ingredients, the building blocks, like all of the dust that made the planets, right? So the sun was sitting there like the conductor, swirling things around until things started to take shape. So what I'm looking at in this spread is you have the power to do whatever it is that you set your mind out to do, but maybe you just need a push in the right direction, or you need that spark that originally, like as all the sort of energy and the helium and the hydrogen was kind of like gathering here at the center, boom, in one moment, there was enough to make the sun. So you have that sort of ignition that's ready to take place. And when you allow yourself to think, I can do this, I will do this, in fact, that's when the spark lights. That's when you go from hermit to sun, or star. They're the same. The sun is a star, so potato on that. But you'll have this ability then to own and create this movement. So I think what's really happening here is a latent, or like just under the surface, awakening that's going to happen of, I've always had the power, I've always had the potential, now I'm going to do it. So think to yourself, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. When are you going to turn the key for whatever it is that you want to create? You have the power, you have the capacity. When you believe it, when you do it, look at, we actually see it happening twice here. And this can be like twin stars. So your energy, and then that also sparks the energy of someone else, okay? And then we see them looking at you differently, because this almost reminds me of a lens looking at this card. Here's the sun. Here's a new lens right on top of that, okay? Don't let work get in the way. Now we have everybody's favorite, and I say that with a sense of humor, the Seven of Swords. The Seven of Swords is a tricky card. I love that this artist illustrated it with a sly little fox at the bottom. The card is reversed, which is indicating or suggesting that you're starting to see through some of the thinly veiled sort of facades, or even maybe the more elaborately sort of created facades that were going on in your life. So it's getting honest with yourself, getting honest with others. And that honesty sometimes comes with a price of discomfort, with a messy conversation, but it's important to talk about the things that aren't working as well as the things that are working. So there's something coming to your attention where maybe you weren't completely honest with yourself or someone else, or vice versa, someone wasn't telling you the truth. And you get this awakening. And it looks like it's already happening or it's happened. So the main thing here is not to beat yourself up as you sort of look at life with a different set of, sort of like different lens. That's the other thing, is sometimes we weren't capable of seeing. You may be asking yourself, like, why didn't I see this the way that it was? And don't beat yourself up, because we need life experiences sometimes to understand or to parse or to integrate things, differently. So you're exactly where you need to be right now. And the important thing for you is just to sort of be honest with yourself. I think that internal honesty is going to set the tone for everything. And being candid with yourself first and then being candid with others will set you free. Okay? If anyone in your life is trying to get away with something, this card comes through as a sort of, if you will, a guarantee that you're going to be able to see it before it's too late. But the main thing that you have to decide is, am I going to do something about it? This fox has got one eye open, but he hasn't decided to do something yet. So when are you going to act? It's kind of like if I ask my little guy in the background, he's almost got the same exact pose. If I ask if he wants to go for a WALK, which I'm not going to say out loud, all of a sudden he'll jump out. Or if I grab his leash, he goes crazy. Maybe we'll do it at the end before I wrap up, but that's his magic time. He needs something to inspire action or movement. So what is it going to take? And that's sort of your homework question. What's it going to take for me to say what I need to say or do what I need to do? Okay. Shades of gray. We have the Two of Swords here in the crowning position. And I kind of love that we see the sun eclipsed here, which is actually a validation that you know what to do and it's going to be okay, but you're in that moment of, uh-oh, what's going on? Let's think back to ancient societies, like hundreds of years ago or thousands of years ago. Just imagine if you didn't understand how astronomy worked and how the moon and the sun and everything was related. They used to think that the earth was at the center of everything. So it must have been very weird for the eclipse thing to happen and then to try to make sense of that. So a couple things. First of all, don't panic if something unusual happens in your life. It's a different sort of energy coming through. The other thing that I think of when I look at an eclipse is a revelation. We don't see the corona of the sun until the moon passes right in front of it, and then we get to see all the stuff that's going on around the sun. We just think of it as this big blob in the sky. So sometimes the lack of something, sometimes the space between point A and point B is the most important, because we can see things that we wouldn't normally see in the space. So it's that space between beginning and coming into fruition where the magic happens, where you're really capable of doing something magnificent. But in that space, there is ambiguity. There isn't a guarantee. And that's going to be the hard part for some of you is, it's not a clear-cut decision. The Two of Swords is about you having to take the energy of the hermit that we looked at in the channel messages and say, I did the soul searching, I did the research. It's not absolutely clear if this is going to be, a surefire hit if I do this, but I feel very good about it. I'm ready to take this cognitive or actual leap of faith and see where it takes me. It's as clear as it's ever going to be. And so that's all you can do for yourself, is to make a decision with what's in front of you and keep moving, right? Okay, so this is a not so beautiful card here. So we have the Nine of Swords, and it basically looks kind of like a nightmare, which is what you would expect of the Nine of Swords. It is reversed here, as was the Two of Swords, as was the Seven of Swords. The rest of the cards, most of these cards here are upright, but in the center, we can see there's a lot of introspective work. And if we kind of look at this is honesty, this is clarity, and this is fear. So being honest with yourself and others, trying to find as much clarity as possible, and then just trusting intuition. And then with this one, not giving into fear. If you kind of use that as your compass, you're going to be okay, because you're strong, you're charismatic, people love and support you, and this is just energy. The swords around all of these are just setting up a test for you, basically. So some of you may find solace in the work, and it could get you out of the fear that you're seeing in this card. Don't worry so much about the Nine of Swords. What the Nine of Swords teaches us is that there is something at stake. If you are competing for a race and you get butterflies, or if you're, same thing if you're competing for something different, like maybe some sort of recognition, or going on a first date and you're just trying to win someone over. Whatever it is, whenever we have something to lose, we get a little nervous, right? Maybe sweat, maybe your heart's beating, maybe your stomach's a little queasy. It's the Nine of Swords stepping in and thinking, like, what if this doesn't work? If you are worrying about it not working, it means you want it to work. So shift it around and think, why shouldn't this work? What have I got to lose? What if it works? What if it's great? What if I really hit it off at this interview? What if this is the best first date ever? What if I just have a really great day today? Go into the what if versus the negative. Always turn it around and then just make it a statement. That's something I'm trying to teach all of us, myself included, as we go through this, just to remind yourself, I can do this, and why can't I do this? And then think about it. Like, so instead of thinking it's probably going to go wrong, or, what if I fail? Think, well, what if I succeed? Why can't I succeed? Why shouldn't I succeed? Set yourself up for success. Eliminate the Nine of Swords by asking it right back. Like, what am I really nervous about? If it's just success, let's go for it. Because if I don't do it, then I will fail. So my best shot of succeeding is to put one foot in front of the other and move my lips and start talking and start walking. So that's what I would say for you. You're guaranteed a better chance at success by trying than by not trying. So the odds are always stacked in your favor if you're at least moving in that direction, okay? Don't have to move fast. Better to move thoughtful, better to take your time. But if you're not moving at all, or if you're going backward, then you know that you're not actually going to succeed, because you're not moving the thought process forward. We're not focusing on speed. We're just focusing on understanding, taking a step, and then taking another step after that. Just like learning to walk, it's one step at a time, all right? The only other thing that I would say with this is sometimes quality of sleep could be lacking. So if you haven't, there are simple things that you can do. Replace your mattress, replace your pillows, or take a look at your sleeping condition. Make sure that there's no, turn the TV off when you're going to bed, turn the lights off, improve sleeping conditions. This can also be stress management. So those sorts of things are much easier for you to manage. All right. Let's move on to what's going on over here, which is for me always more exciting. So let's see how you're showing up to others. I couldn't ask for a better card to come out of a retrograde period than Judgment, because just as we see here, it is like a phoenix, or in this case, like the dove, rising from the ashes. We see light coming from the dark. The question here with Judgment is, are you ready to believe? Both with Justice and Judgment, sometimes there's this disbelief or lack of faith. And if you aren't ready to accept what's obvious, or what's being delivered, or what's right in front of you, that creates friction, tension, and slowing down that isn't necessarily beneficial. So are you ready? And are you ready to see yourself differently? Because that's what Judgment is asking. You aren't who you used to be. You aren't stuck by the old sort of blocks that used to be in front of you. And the main thing here is, can I accept myself as something different? And can I also see others, or this life in general, like this is a new page? And Judgment is asking you. It's one step away from the world. So we have to accept, we have to rise up, and we have to sort of say goodbye to what was in order to get the expansion energy of the world. So I really like that it's Judgment than the world, because there has to be the acceptance and the release. And for those of us like me, I've recently lost someone. Judgment's a really beautiful card because it shows that the person that has stepped out of your life has finally kind of accepted this new sort of energy, and that there was more than what they thought. It's a limitless card. So if we look at the sort of soul's path, and really what the major arcana is the journey of the Fool. The journey of the Fool through all of these trials and tribulations. And Judgment is the moment when the Fool's really grown up and has moved beyond the limitations of like this material life. So it is something much bigger, even than the star, right? So you have this moment of extreme expansion and growth that is right in front of you right now. But it comes with acceptance. And if you can't accept the possibilities, then windows and doors close. So just be open-minded, and you'll be surprised at who might reach a hand out and say, hey, what about this? Or what are you doing? Have you seen this? Synchronicities will avail themselves and open up and reveal themselves to you. But you have to be able to rise above the shadows and the doubt and then the anchors of the past. So what will happen a lot of times with Judgment, particularly since it's showing up in your soul area here, is there's maybe one more little test, one past life karmic test that might be coming through. And when you release this, it's like this major release and major relief, I should say, for you, where you just feel like the sky's the limit. Okay, so that is really the ultimate message on this one, as we see the dove ascending into the heavens above, which is the sky's the limit. Don't limit yourself. This card would scare away the energy of the devil card, because it's just so bright, it's so vibrant, it doesn't even have the limitations anymore. It's not even embodied in any sort of physical sort of thing. It's just taking off. Okay, so that's what I really think this month is opening up to you, is a chance like a rocket ship to fly, but we have to move through some of the denser energies that we were seeing here at the center, which I totally believe that you can do. All right, let's go back into the spread here and see one more little tricky card here. This is going on in the environment. So we have here the Five of Pentacles, and it kind of reminds me of the Sleeping Beauty rose, where he has to learn to put other people first, actually. I don't necessarily think that's the problem for you, because Five of Pentacles usually carries with it the understanding that it's almost the antithesis of the Disney, the Disney sort of symbolism there, which is we've been taught sometimes that we're not enough. And so what the Five of Pentacles is a reminder that we don't need external validation. We don't need to put so much sort of weight into what other people think. That's maybe the only similarity, because he was focused on artifice and popularity and all of that. But the bigger piece on the Five of Pentacles is some of you need a little bit of boosting and realizing I can do this with or without the support or acceptance of parents, family, loved ones, etc. And that popularity doesn't always constitute worth or self-worth, and it certainly doesn't always fill the void. So what you're really working on is self-love and self-acceptance. I am enough. I'm more than enough for myself or others. I support my path for growth. I love who I am. I love who I'm becoming. I accept what I didn't do right before, because it created context and a sense of humility and kindness that wouldn't have been there otherwise. So everything in your life created a stronger foundation. And all you have to do now is choose to keep building on that. And don't accept less than the best. This is in the environment. So if it's not you, it could be someone in need of your help that can't ask because they're afraid. So if you've worked on all of this and you're like, Nicholas, I am fine. This could be a best friend, a brother, a sister, or someone at work that is going through the energy of the Five of Pentacles, which I just talked about, a fear of not matching up. Now, if you're trying to buy something or someone's trying to hire you, there could be someone that's trying to take advantage of the situation. So this is not enough when it comes to resource exchange. I don't want you to get the Five of Pentacles when you're trying to negotiate a salary. You should be getting 6, 7, 8, 9. Anything above it is fine. So this is someone that's not giving you full worth. So there is room for negotiation there. If you are trying to sell something, it's someone that tries to buy at a discount, and you have to ask yourself, is it worth that deep of a discount? Now, as someone that's buying something, you might get a deal, but there could be some fixer-up work to do, because if you look at the traditional card, you would see someone on crutches. It's not a sort of like healthy card, so you'd want to look at the foundation, for instance, of a building. You want to look at the inside, not just the outside. So you can always do a little bit better in the exchange or the negotiation. In fact, if we look at what's going on right above it in the possibility space, we have the 10 of Pentacles, which I was going to talk about, and there's a hidden opportunity. So let's pull this card up, right? And every time I use this deck now, I have to mention it because I had someone saying, I didn't mean to correct you, but you weren't looking at it. If you count it, there's 9. Look closer, folks. There's 10. There's a star within a star, and there's the number 10 at the top. So basically, just like that person missed the hidden opportunity, there's a hidden opportunity that may be right in front of you, right around you, or you haven't given something else that you've been kind of holding in your heart or in your head a chance to grow. And so what may seem sort of predictable and obvious and maybe good enough, it's not giving you a chance to kind of step into that next level. So hopes, fears, and opportunity. Let's take it away from the star within a star and let's look a little deeper here. The 10 of Pentacles portends great things in your life. And so I couldn't ask for a better place than hopes, fears, and opportunity, because this says that you are pulling in better partnerships. So we had a card here that can show marriage and love and friendship and promise. And then we have another card here that can show many of the same things, including partnership and marriage and business and money. So these two together are marriage cards for sure. There's a little bit of stuff around this. So I would say don't jump into something. Some of you are not ready for the commitment, whatever that commitment is, because this judgment card is, again, sort of, it's not accepting. It seems to be posing a question. Am I ready? Do I trust this? Do I believe? So there's a little bit of inner love that needs to happen first for this to all take place. But I think once you can do that, then things start to open up. Some of you want to have more control. I love this Hierophant because unlike a traditional card where we see a papal figure, 2 disciples, and the 2 interlocking keys, this one shows that you hold the key. So you don't need someone else to complete you. You don't need someone else to do something for you. But the question here is, are you maybe holding on to way too much? Because I feel like there's a chance for partnership and community to strengthen this. So if it's just about leadership, then take the key, take the mantle of leadership, but don't sort of like throw away all of the love, support, and partnership that's here. Some of you just may not be ready to lead. This could be saying, can I do this? Will I be enough? Everyone else is saying, yes, you're enough. So you just have to kind of like go with it. This is a very non-traditional Hierophant. So thinking outside of the box is important. And if there's a gatekeeper in front of you and they keep saying no, it may not be you or your idea. It may be the gatekeeper. And I'm going to just show the traditional Hierophant while we talk. Sometimes I like to look at the traditional cards when I'm using a new deck just to remind us. But yeah, so this is like 18th, 19th century version of my way or the highway. And stop and listen to me. And once you've earned my approval, then you can have the keys to the kingdom. And this is 21st century saying, we are all connected to the divine. I don't need you to tell me the way. I've actually seen that. I know what I need to do. So it helps to kind of see the reinterpretation and why this card is so much more powerful than this card. People probably weren't ready to see this interpretation a few hundred years ago. So it's scary when people that would normally tell you what to do aren't there. And I can speak from experience now because, again, I don't have a sibling, I don't have a partner, and my parents are gone. So I have to make all major decisions on my own. And that's fine. I'm a grown adult. But it is interesting to kind of be in a place where you don't have that. And I work for myself, so there's no boss. So like it's 110% I have to make all decisions. That's a lot. I do the best I can. And if I need to learn from a mistake, I learn from a mistake. Have fun with it, though. Lately, I've thought, this is really great. I don't have to ask anybody in my life for permission for anything. I just have to do the best that I can do. And if I go to bed at night and I feel good about it and Apollo feels good about it, then I know that I did the best that I can. So you're being asked to kind of take that key and that mantle in your life and just say, let's have some fun. Let's be creative, right? It can be invigorating. It's all in how you look at it. You could either think, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Or you can think, oh my God, what am I going to do with this? Just change it around, change the energy around from anxiety to anticipation or excitement. Okay? You've got this. We're going to expand your forecast now to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny to get a little bit more information on what's coming through for you. We're going to start with your health card, and I always like to disclaim health by saying I'm looking at energy and opportunity, again, to empower you, to hopefully inspire you. If there's anything going on with your mind-body sort of energies, then you want to work with the appropriate professional. With that being said, let's see what the cards have to say. So we have a concentration card that's coming through. We don't always see this one. I don't actually know if I've actually pulled this one before. So let's look at this up close together. It says, focus your mind. Thank you, angels, for helping me focus on my priorities. So if I had to think of a few cards in tarot, the first that comes to mind is the Seven of Cups. Seven of Cups, of course, you juggling everything up in the air. Interestingly enough, it was on the bottom of this spread. So focus and concentration. This sometimes can be distracting. This card is saying go to really what feels like it's the best use of your time and energy and put it there. We already highlighted the Two of Wands. That would be another card that would come through because you need to take one of those floating cups and decide like, all right, I'm going to do something with this. So concentration is key. Some of you may have a hard time focusing because of, like for me, for instance, I had to shift it to an earlier time to read so that there wasn't jackhammers and drills and all the banging and all the stuff that's going to go on. So maybe there's environmental things that are happening with you. Maybe something in your heart has shifted because of a painful relationship breakup, because of family drama or trauma. Maybe you are just doing too much. And the mind, I was listening to someone on YouTube that was talking about the capacity for the human mind to concentrate. After like 8 or 9 options, it just conks out a little bit. So the Seven of Cups was actually aptly drawn. Like you really can't deal with much more than this. If you go to 8, 9, etc., then you can't make sense of it. So I would say do less, do it better, limit things a little bit, have someone help you find the right scope on something so that you can see some productivity. We kind of started to veer into wealth instead of health, but the two are often intertwined. So what I'm seeing here is environmental stress, which also found its way here, working its way into your brain. We're looking at mental energy this month, but not so much emotional mental as in like cognitive concentration, focus. Some of you, this could end up creating a migraine or something of that nature. So being able to pull things into focus is going to help you as well. All right. Let's take a look here at your cards and see if there's anything else we need to focus on. I mentioned already your sleep environment is going to be really, really key for that as well. And then the other thing here, the Seven of Swords is really powerful whenever we're looking at just general health spreads because sometimes, and not just that, you got two actually. So you have the Two of Swords, which is typically blindfolded. And then we have the Seven of Swords, which is about not always being truthful. So the Two of Swords, FYI, can sometimes be wanting to, you wanting to push something under the rug and just hoping that if I ignore it, it will go away. If I don't look at this, it's going to just disappear. So let's look at the traditional card here. Normally, this is what it looks like, and it's this feeling that I can't do anything about it or I don't want to do anything about it. So if something's going on in your life and you feel like you need to have some advice, go to the doctor, talk to somebody. That's the main thing here. I'm not trying to kind of like create hypochondriacs for this stuff. This is more like there's an ache and a pain, or this is something that I've been putting off and I need to do it. You'll know if you need to do it. That's something you should pay attention to. And this one can basically be like, I'm going to say that I'm going to do this, but I know I'm not ready for it. So if you're kind of intending on creating a workout routine or changing your diet, but you're still eating the chocolate bars and just sitting down, you're not quite ready just yet. So be honest with yourself and then set into motion things when you're ready for it. But this is also a wake-up call saying, when will you be ready? And do you need someone to help you be accountable, etc.? Because it feels like some folks might just be afraid to look at something. So don't be afraid. Ask for help. You've got support here, and I think that can help you be more accountable. We all need it from time to time. There is a chance to rise up and rise above something. Some of you may have had a close call. Some of you might have experienced loss. Some of you might just be through that question of, am I ready? okay? Give yourself time to mourn and to move through all of those absolutely valid emotions. Lean on someone if you need help with that. I do see really beautiful cards here in the outcome though. So it just feels like for some of you, prioritizing and dealing with something that could be a little scary, but we see this sort of rising above energy here, which I like. And then you taking the driver's seat, taking the key, and creating some sort of a new organizational structure in your life as well. Get organized. That is one thing that I like with the Hierophant. It may be a very sort of traditional card, but there is something to be said for getting everything sorted out and getting everything organized. Okay? Good. All right. So I think we highlighted all of that. Let me see. I'm just looking at the peanut gallery here. So it looks like everything's good. All right. Let's move on to the environment, or not the environment, but to the wealth card. So we looked at health. It has to do with concentration, mental well-being, accepting things, being honest with oneself. We already talked about that. All right. So now we're looking at the wealth cards, and we got 2. So let's just take them one at a time. We have the Venusian Galactic Council. Let's just look at the lower caption on this. It says, star being guides, answer the call, time to shine. All right, so basically, this is connecting with the Sun card here, which is you stepping into your power, because I'm looking at star being guides, answer the call, time to shine. So whenever we get the star or the sun, if you tend to be on the shy side, or if you're uncertain, or just in general, maybe you're comfortable once things get going, but you have a little bit of initial stage fright, don't overthink it. Just sort of start. The interesting thing I'm sure if you talk to a performer, once the cameras go, once things start moving, there's almost a different version of themselves that step in. And it feels like this can happen for you. You can channel a higher version of yourself, or you can just sort of like push yourself to the side for a second and allow for this higher energy to come through. You're going to be able to do this, and you'll step back and look at yourself thinking like, who was that? Where did that come from? And that you was always there. That's the interesting thing. You can kind of, if you want to try this, imagine you can talk this out. You can write it out, or you could just record it, do like a little vlog for just yourself and talk to the camera and talk about what's going on. And all of a sudden, what needs to come out has a way of kind of like channeling itself through your throat chakra. So I think it would be cool to kind of, I know it sounds weird, but somehow record or talk to yourself and see if you don't surprise yourself by kind of like finding the solution. Talking it out will be very good. So maybe at the very least, if there's a friend in your life that you trust enough to talk out a situation before you do it, that's going to be key, particularly if there is a negotiation, an interview, or something important where you're putting your cards on the table. This is about doing the preparation work first. All right. The other piece that we have with that is supernova, recreation, renewal, rebirth by light. So that is this. So this is the Judgment card, rising from the ashes. So our sun and everything in the solar system is constituted from the ashes of another star that died and went supernova. Our sun will not die and go supernova. It's going to be a red giant, then a white dwarf, and then that's it. But big stars tend to burn brightly and then also explode brightly, and then they create heavier, denser energies and materials like the metals and the rocks that create up all the rockier planets here in the solar system. So in your life, you have who knows how many more kind of like supernovas you have, but you have at least one big shift and one big movement happening. So you are not at the final act of your play. There's something exciting, there's a twist, there's a turn, there's something really cool. So go for it. You're not a one-trick pony. Do something cool and give yourself this chance to step through another gateway. And really allow for that latter piece, being renewed and rebirth, because that connects with what we saw here, the baby card, ready to let something go. And then we actually have the rebirth card, the Judgment card. So everything that's a part of this card is actually in the spread here. So you are not done. You have another chance for doing something exciting, and it's just holding on, which we talked about earlier. Okay, let's take a look at just the general messages here with your health cards. Your wealth cards, and we'll see where this takes you. First of all, don't sell yourself short, which I talked quite a bit about. Be willing to call your own bluff. Some of you may need to find something different before you get an offer on the table from where you're at. The thing is, and I really want you to think about this. If you are ready right now and you have an opportunity where someone else is ready to invest in you, so you're ready to leave, someone says, I love you, or I accept you, or I offer you this opportunity, and it's legitimate, why would you stay with someone who needed someone else to counter first, or to offer before they're willing to counter? Because that means that they didn't judge or value you, and it means that they'll be keeping an eye on you. It changes the relationship. So I would not, personally, I wouldn't stay at a place that waited for a counter. I mean, the only time that this maybe makes sense is if you are a year away from retirement and you're going to stay and you can put it in the contract or something like that. But by and large, if you're with someone or working for someone or partnered with someone and they only value you when they think you're not going to be there, that's someone who hasn't been fully awake. Unless they show that they've changed and that you're really sort of like taken care of and there's no sort of danger, I think I would be very resistant towards connecting with someone who would only give me something that I was worth if they thought that they weren't going to have me there. So you need someone who sees your true worth 100% of the time, not just when it's convenient or when you're gone. So that's one little lesson or piece of information that's coming through. The other thing here is you may be limiting yourself by past experiences or old thought processes, and it's time for the fear-based energy to go out. I see a big breakthrough here. You may be incredibly surprised by something. Windfall of like money coming through, a big opportunity, and you're pinching yourself. One great piece of advice I got from a friend of mine from grad school, she said, just keep it as a little secret, have fun with it. So if you think you're dating someone out of your league, they're not out of your league. They're in your league because they were attracted to you, and like attracts like. If you get your dream job and it's paying you more than you thought, you just got validation that you're worth more than you gave yourself credit for. So have a little, dance party in your office, in your room, and keep that to yourself. And it's going to be okay. Don't let your insecurity get in the way of the manifestation that you've created in your life, this opportunity. So I think that you're on this precipice of seeing just how far you can go and just how much you're worth. So don't let this old stuff get in the way of the new you. Okay? So breakthrough time, not sort of feeling like you're stuck or that you're not worth an opportunity. When someone says you're worth it, but there's this question of, am I ready for it? Sometimes we need a little bit more training or experience to feel comfortable, but it wouldn't be presented to you if there wasn't a higher lesson or a higher opportunity kind of at play there. Other things here is there is a need for organization. This is a super organized card. This is a slightly disorganized card. These are people waiting for somebody to kind of come in. This can be also stress around you because it's coming through kind of very close to the environment. So make sure that whatever you're kind of doing, whether it's a job or if you're looking at a new place to live, that you pay attention to the people that are already there. And then ask them, how do you like it here? And then say really, because I want to make sure that I'm joining a team where, I know what's going on. So try to get the word on the street. A lot of times you can see this on the internet too. If you search, there's a lot of reviews and things like that. So make sure that you get the information ahead of time. Okay. And that's mostly what I'm seeing here is sussing out the sort of work environment. Now, this is something I want you to be mindful of when signing a contract. Don't sign away too much. Don't say you can do something if you won't. It's so much better to say, I can't do this, or this doesn't make sense, or I don't want to do something. So be honest and ask questions if you don't know, and try to work on stress management. But I also feel like there's room to delegate here as well. So I think things can be a lot better than they feel or seem initially. So work through some of this, and it does look like thriving and leading and growing is really what this month is all about. All right, let's move on to relationships here. We have divine timing. So this is, I feel like for all of us, a really great message, particularly those of you that might be looking for love or single and happy and just wondering am I on the right path? What's going on with that? yes, you're on the right path. You're actually timing things out right now. There's some work that you're doing on yourself in the way of, I'm not who I used to be, and I may be a lot more than people give me credit for. Those are the two lessons that are going to hit across all types of relationships, whether you're in it, looking for one, or alone, single and happy. You're fine, but you've got to work on those things first for the other parts of your life to flourish. So I just kind of highlighted on the different things that I want to look at. If you're in a relationship, we'll start with that. If you're in a relationship, honesty is the most important piece. The Seven of Swords just jumps out of the spread like no other card. So ideally, the person that you spend your life with and your time with, this candid energy has to be a part of it. And the heart-centric energy that's coming through the throat chakra that we talked about earlier, also really important. Talk about your hopes and your fears with who you love. That's key. I think some of you may be working too hard. Some of you may be a little stressed out. And then again, some of you may have some issues with that honesty. These things have to kind of be dealt with. There's still love and support here. But this kind of stuff is compressing it a bit. Then we see, for many of you, this is beautiful. Some of you are already in a karmic relationship, but what we would call soulmates, because this is past life. And this is a deep, deep connection. So I love to see the sun or the star or the Six of Cups when I'm looking at that, particularly when it's partnered with judgment. So there's a lot to love and there's a lot to like. But for some of you, there's rigidity in the partnership, like my way or the highway. For some of you, there's a lot of pressure from extended family and you get lost like that little pentacle in the mix. And so being able to speak up, being able to stand out, and being able to release any old karmic lessons, particularly, interestingly enough, even if you're married to someone, this can mean like in a past life, maybe dozens and dozens of past lives ago, there was this sort of parent-child or teacher-student energy. And so in this lifetime, you're going to work on taking the sort of like scales and equaling them out. You don't have to be the teacher or the parent for the other person. They're not teaching or taking care of you. You're partnering up and you're seeing each other as equals. And that's the big karmic lesson here is equal energy, equal opportunity, partnership, not sort of I'm right, you're wrong, I'm in control, you're listening to me, that kind of stuff. So that's the past, and the present is more about finding the equal footing. And if you can work on that, then things look good. Again, the last couple, this is opportunities, this is outcome. So it feels good, but you're going to probably have to take the lead on this conversation. As we can see here, do it with your heart. Okay, because the other partner may not see it coming or may not want to deal with it, and that'll be one of the challenges as well. All right, focusing on those of you that are looking for love. I want you to clean up whatever's going on in the environment, whether it's morale, whether it's money, whether it's self-confidence. That's the first thing. Work on the stress management. Work on your own sort of health as well. Honestly, feel like this is a better time for you to focus on creating a new chapter and a better journey for yourself than getting straight into a relationship. Toward the end of next month, I can see a new karmic relationship if you're not already in one, because we have judgment. We have that same lesson that I talked about. We have someone that's interested in a long-term relationship, but this sort of inner work has to happen first. Now I understand why the tortoise came through. It was really here to make sure that you know yourself. Because if you don't know you going into a relationship, then it becomes a teaching and learning experience, and someone tries to show you who you are and they're holding up a mirror instead of holding your hand, right? So that's the key thing. Get that mirror, get that inner knowledge, and then you can just kind of have fun with one another. All right. For those of you that are single and happy, good for you. And I think this is a good time to be single and happy. There's a lot of career and inner growth that wants to happen. You are starting to sort of see your power, see your energy. And really, that's where it's taking you. I feel like it is like a rocket ship. There's a lot of growth and a lot of potential that's coming through over the next 3 to 4 months if we kind of flash back to the earlier slides. So this is going to be a really exciting period for you. The only thing that's trying and a little bit difficult is, again, maybe seeing someone for their true colors, maybe having to come to terms with something in your own life that you didn't want to see or deal with, and then just dealing with the immediate stress of that. But everything along this journey here is really beautiful. So to me, this is just a series of like ellipses. It's like a pause between two things, or a semicolon. It's not a full stop. So you have this little bit of stuff that's going to happen in that amount of time, but something quickly will follow it. And it's a better thought, and it's a better experience overall. And let's go to your destiny card now. And we have the hawk here. And the hawk card was reversed, so you're being asked to look at it from a different angle. You're just being asked to look at things right now too. And again, look at the overall timing, realizing that you've always had control over this when we look at it, particularly in relationships, to make something happen sooner if you want it to happen sooner. Okay? So let's go ahead now and take a look at your big idea. So I'm going to keep using this deck for now. I do like the animal cards on this one, so we'll keep using it. So let's take a look now and see what's coming through for the big idea. There we go. There's our hermit card. So the big idea is you're closer than you think. So, and it is okay. You still have to spend the time. This is the image that kind of inspired me to connect it with the hermit as well. So with this one, what's kind of cool is the hermit's sitting there, the lantern's there. He may have forgotten his light. He may have forgotten that he has the potential to shine the light on something. So one thing that I'd like you to eventually make peace with or get excited about is sharing who you are and what you have to sort of like teach the world with the world. If it stays in your head or it stays in your heart, you're doing yourself and you're doing everyone else a disservice there. So I feel like there's just something really great that you're holding back. So don't be afraid to show yourself when you're ready. I want you to do the work first because that was the initial message. But because the big idea is saying towards the end of this upcoming month, you will have done everything that you need to. So at that point, shine your light, be yourself. Okay? So somebody's saying it's hard to come out of their hermit shell. So I'm going to remind you what I said earlier. It's not about the speed with which you move, but it is about moving eventually. And if you don't move, there isn't any growth. Thinking of like a plant or a flower, like it has to keep pushing through the dirt. And so safety and security is good to a point, but not if it inhibits or prevents new life experiences, new growth, and basically your ability to continue to, on a soul level, expand. That's why we came to this planet, not for predictability. We could just sort of float out in the ethers for that. So moving and changing is scary. I get it. But I'll leave you with this thought before we go to the next section. If you don't move, the universe often finds a way for movement to happen. And that's when it's not fun. Like I was waiting a week and I was busy and then all of a sudden, again, crazy stuff started to happen with the stuff in this place. And I just know that if I stay, that eventually like part of the ceiling will fall or something, because that's already happened in another room. They're actually having to go into my wall in a few weeks to clear the plumbing. And it's just like everything around me is falling apart and the universe is being very clear. Get out or we will throw you out. So with your life, don't wait until this sort of stuff starts to happen. I've just been busy and grieving someone and like there's been a lot going on, but there's been a series of towers where it's like you've got to move on all of these levels of your life. So I saw it and I'm like, yeah, I got it. Now I'll move fast. But even when you can see stuff, sometimes like I prioritize you guys and I've been busy working. So I have to now make time for things. Make time. Don't wait because it catches up with you. So you're tuning in today and you're saying that I'm afraid. So that's okay, but don't wait for a tower. And a tower doesn't happen overnight, people. It can take 1, 2, 3 years. I've been wanting to move for a couple years. I just couldn't. I was supporting a parent that was kind of older and not very well. And so they're gone now. And then immediately after that, all this stuff happened. The universe was like, that's done. Now this is done. Now we need you to move. So I'm going to pay attention because this isn't even the big tower. This is more like tower reversed. So when you start to see little tiny hints of things happening, it's like, all right, I got it. I'm moving. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of growth. Also, there may be no Tower in your life, but then there may be no Ace of Cups or 10 of Cups or 4 of Wands or World Energy. So safety and limiting, it's a limiting thought. It's just a different version of the Devil sometimes too. It's kind of like closing down. We don't want that. Devil or 4 of Pentacles. So I'm not saying change for the sake of change. I'm saying if you know there's something that you need to try it. I was talking on the Weekend Collective about one of my new hobbies, which is cooking. And I decided I wanted to make a curry. And I have all the ingredients, except I just needed to get like the potatoes, the coconut cream, and the tomatoes. But everything else, the spices I have, because I already put that in soups. I did it and I was like, this tastes fantastic. Why haven't I made a curry before? It wasn't hard. I just had to do it. So sometimes we just have to throw the ingredients in our life in a bowl and see what happens. And you are more skilled than you think, okay? So I'm encouraging everyone here, especially those of you that are saying, I want to stay in my shell or I'm afraid. Okay, but try something new. Push yourself out there. Taste a different flavor of ice cream. Read a different type of author. Take a different route home. Try something different. Keep trying different things and get used to the fact that that doesn't end life as you know it. And you think, okay, I can deal with this next thing. It's not going to be the end of the world. All right? Good. Moving on. Blessings and blocks. Blessings and blocks, just like they sound. Something that can enhance your experience here over the next 6 to 8 weeks. Something that could make it bumpier. Blessing is the Star. Block is the 2 of Pentacles, but as a beautiful butterfly. All right, so Star reversed. Like it or not, it's time to be seen. It's time to experience the true you. It's time to be authentic. The Star in reverse is muting your light for the benefit of others. It's sometimes holding back, and there's no more of that. There's no more time for that. So your blessing is that you're being thrown into the limelight. And you earned it, and you have this chance to show who you truly are. Some of you may be put into a situation where you're showing grace under fire. So let's say that there's a perfect storm of crazy things happening, and you're going to put on your project management hat and make this happen, make that happen, pull it all together, and someone at the end of this is going to say, "You're amazing," and you just say, "Thank you." I worked hard to make that happen. You may also just be in a situation where you've been waiting to do something or show something and you have it and you put it out in the world and someone says, "That's amazing." And again, the lesson with this one is just to say, that means the world to me. Thank you. Accept the opportunity, accept the compliment. We don't need false modesty and we don't need this sort of muting of the light. Just simply say thank you. And keep doing something beautiful. Just say thanks. This is my way to give back or something like that. But you don't owe an explanation. You can simply say thank you. There's nothing wrong with accepting that because someone wanted to say that you did something nice for them, or they're validating your value. So you can also say thank you. I appreciate you too if you want to, but just be authentic. Remember, it is be candid. So it's okay to just accept it and say thanks. Some of us have a hard time saying no and saying thanks. So both of those words are okay. Your block is priorities and overextension, and these are often brother, sister, cousin cards. The 7 of Swords is overcommitment. The 2 of Pentacles is understanding that overcommitment is kind of throwing you off your balance. So you have to rise above and say, if I say no to this, if I let go of this, then I can truly fly. I can raise my wings and kind of rise above that nonsense. And so choice and sort of like clearly deciding this, not this, it's actually going to be liberating for you. So you have a blessing, but it may be difficult to accept the blessing, the Star card reversed. And then you have a block, and the block is simply wanting to please everyone. So you don't have to please everyone, or you don't have to try to do all of this. Say no to something, fail at something if you want to see it as that, but by letting go of something, you can strive and succeed and thrive with something else. And I've shared this experience before, but sometimes, especially at a company or in a family where you're pulling more than your weight, it's good to let something slide or fail with proper notice, of course, not just like not telling them, but just say, I can only do this. If you expect me to do both, that's not going to happen. I'm just telling you way ahead of time. And you can try to put all the pressure you can on me. You can give me all the looks you want to, but there's no way that I can physically do that. So if you want both done, hire help. Let's get, or we're going to have to reduce scope. You're just asking for too much. You'll find a way to articulate it, but you can't do everything and you can't be everything to everyone. So choose what you want, pick one of those 2 pentacles, and then go with that ace. And that's basically what you have is a hidden ace, but that other thing is holding you down, holding you back. So you have one thing there that you really have to focus on, but it's just under the surface, okay? All right, let's move on to the viewer's choice. Viewer's choice is a chance for you to vote on something, and while you do that, I will look at a reader's choice. Let me grab my keyboard and grab a drink of water, and we'll take a look at these cards together. All right. So, looking at what's in front of us, let's put some options out here for all of you. Okay. I want to focus on self-worth. And I'll put even here like negotiations for those of you that have to negotiate. I also want to take a look at saying no, finding balance, focus, finding your focus, and being honest with yourself and others. Good luck. These are all good. And I'm going to see if I can find a final one while you're doing that. I'm going to ask what the big opportunity or the hidden opportunity for growth is for you, because that to me sounds really inspirational. So let's take a look at your hidden growth opportunity while you are figuring that out, what you want me to look at. If I had like 3 or 4 hours to sit here with you, I would look at all of them, but I'm putting it out to you to choose the one that's the best. It's a little bit of practice of this. Choose the one that you want the most. All right, so I was looking at, again, the hidden opportunity here. And we have wands here. We have the 7 of wands. We have this beautiful light coming from within the 7 of wands. Let's look at it a little closer. The card was reversed as well. So a couple of notes with this. First of all, traditional 7 of wands, we would see the person in that stance of kind of like pushing back. Don't be afraid to push back and say no, or not yet, or not today. And you can do that even in a more welcoming way by saying, yeah, that sounds great. How about tomorrow? Yeah, no, my calendar's full today, but I'll open up some time for you on the weekend. Or, today and tomorrow don't work, but how about Monday? Just kind of like give them options and keep pushing. You can be like pushy but friendly in that sort of way. The other thing with the 7 of wands is there's always a chance to work a little bit smarter. So sometimes we are trying to, you basically don't know how to say no. And there is this thought that if I don't do it, if I'm the only one that can do it. If I let this go, then nothing else will come my way. So this card is reminding you of the importance of saying, not today, not yet, and could you please help with this? Finding the leadership energy that wanted to come through with the Hierophant. When you do that, you find hidden energy. So we see that spark of inspiration and light here. You have a hidden ace in this as well, in the 7 of wands. Even on the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, the solution is there because he's holding an ace and he's pushing back at the 6 wands, which is like peer pressure and success. So sometimes we have to push back that sort of temptation to acquiesce, to give in to peer pressure, or to do what's expected and instead do what's right. And when we do that, we find power, we find energy, we find that we're absolutely on the right path, okay? I love this deck because it does have deeper shades of meaning, so that's why I'm kind of staying with it. All right, so let's take a look at what you guys chose for me here. I'm going to take a little screenshot of this because These are actually really good questions, even for like, some of them may find their way to a weekend reading at some point because they're just good. They're good questions in general. All right, hold on, I'm trying to take a picture of this. There we go. All right, so you chose by a resounding amount the Finding Your Focus by 40%. I think that's really good. So we have this card that inspired it here, and in tarot it would be the Seven of Cups. In real life, this can be those of you that are a mother or a caretaker or a teacher or super busy in your life, and you're trying to focus. And it's like, how do I make sense of all this chaos? Because it feels like, you know, dozens of people are depending on me, right? So let's see how you can try to keep your wits about you, even when life seems to be conspiring to sort of like help you lose your focus. So I'm going to help you gain it or help you prioritize the focus a bit here. So we have the Emperor. Not a big surprise here. The Emperor in reverse, though. Standing your ground. And for some of you, it's interesting that I talked about moving and uprooting yourself. This is saying you can and you may actually thrive if you try something different, if you transplant your energy. We're looking at this big tree here. So for some of you, just a simple shift of environment. It doesn't mean you have to move. It could mean for some of you that in order to focus, you just need to take yourself somewhere else. So maybe going to the library, taking a walk, trying to, even take a holiday if you have some extra time for vacation saved up. Do something to just get out of this sort of, it's almost like you're stuck in a rut or stuck in a schedule, and change it up a little bit. So a change of environment or change of routine could be absolutely beneficial for some of you. And you can, if you've ever seen, like, you can actually move a tree, not all types, but most trees. Even here in California, they move palm trees a lot. But it just takes a little bit of an adjustment period. So one other thing for those of you that just started something new relationship or new job in particular, you may just be in shock. Change can bring about that shock. And I love gardening, and I've been showing you some of my cactus plants, but a lot of times when I get them, they're very shriveled, like some of the new ones because you propagate them from a cactus pad. So they'll be dehydrated, and you just sort of like mist them a little bit or water them once, and it can take up to 3 months for them to root. And then all of a sudden they start to plump up again, and then you start to see growth. So they're in shock. So, and they kind of like pull within, like the hermit. So for some of us, when we're moving, when we're changing, there is this sort of initial recourse of energy, and some of you can't concentrate because you're in the shock mode. So what you want to do then is just take a deep breath, and that's why, like, you don't want to overdo it. Like with a tree, or if you're propagating any sort of plant, if you water it too much, it rots. So you want it to have just enough, and it's kind of like when I got this cute little puppy behind me 6 years ago. He's been with me for a while. Well, he's been with me about 4.5, 5 years, but he's about 7 years old. But when I first got him, I couldn't even get him to drink water. He hid under the bed. He hid under everything, and he wouldn't eat or drink. He would sniff it, and then he would go under the bed. So to get him to drink initially, I had to put water on a blanket, and he would lick the blanket. At least then I knew he was hydrating. And then I had to put like some food on my hand, and then he would lick my hand. And then eventually I got him over to the dish. So now he's thriving, and he won't stop eating, drinking. He wants food all the time. So long story short here, you can and you will thrive, but every time we're thrown into a new situation, we sometimes lack the focus. We sometimes feel like we can't do it. And so what I'd like you to do is take it in one sip at a time, one taste at a time, and easy does it. But you might need to adjust to your surroundings or change your surroundings, and then take it in a sip, one little sip at a time, whatever it is that you're working on. And that will help you focus, okay? The other thing for you is to just, I've talked about this before, but part of this can also be the magician, by the way, focusing your mind. The magician has too many things, like shiny objects, and sometimes the magician can get very distracted. The magician should take one of the elements and focus on it, or mix the required pieces, and then you let it sit, just like I was making the curry the other day. And then you actually put it in the fridge and let it sit even more. So part of this is patience. Don't try to like focus on all these different things. One task, then some space and time, then come back to it, then some space and time. All right. So this is where organizing everything, giving yourself the space and doing it one little step at a time is going to be key. And then what I did was I researched recipes when I was cooking that, and then measured everything out. And then I felt very confident because it was all in front of me. And then you just follow the instructions. Like, it's just following instructions. Cooking for the most part is that. And as long as you're not rushing and as long as you're checking everything off, you'll be fine. So same thing in your life. It's a recipe for success. So my mom and my grandma were actually much even better than I am as a cook. My mom's mom in particular, she didn't even measure stuff. She's old school Italian and she just kind of throw things in, this and that. She kind of knew what to do. Sometimes it didn't work, but she would learn from that. And she'd be like, all right, next time I'll do a little bit of this. So recipes can change and improve as well. So if something's not working, change it up a little bit too. Trust yourself. She is using her third eye here, and just kind of let it be an evolution. All right. That is the answer to that question. All right. Now let's move on to the final part of today's reading. We're going to do one card each for sun, rising, and moon, and I'll break down what each of those means as we look at them. Okay. Sun, rising, moon. Very different cards today for that, so that's exciting. We're going to start first with the message for sun sign. So this, again, this reading can be used for all of these different aspects. What I'm doing right now is kind of getting a little bit more razor sharp for each of them. Sun sign, the sign that you're born under. This is really your default personality for those of you that are born under the sun sign of Aries. That's what we're looking at. We have the King of Swords or Father of Swords here. I love that we have the owl coming through, which is saying, speak with wisdom, speak with intent, really try to be mindful of your words. This will help you avoid energies like the Ten of Swords or like the King of Swords in reverse. The candid energy that comes through this particular King card is going to be very well received because it just sounds like it's sage advice. So some of you may actually connect with a mentor, someone in your life that you love, whether it's father, mother, or boss or friend, it doesn't matter. Someone in your life that you really feel like, I trust that person. I want to kind of like make sure that I'm okay. But also, this card is saying you are that person for others. And I mentioned eventually that we all end up like this Hierophant, because if you live long enough on this planet, you tend to sort of see a lot of other people pass on, and you're left holding that key. So whether you take the key now or you wait until later, you've always had the power. And this is saying the way that you can express your power this month is through words and actions. So do it wisely, but don't second guess yourself. People are waiting. They're ready to receive it. If you're someone who communicates, whether it's through writing or singing or maybe public speeches or politics or policy making, this is a really good, also legal work. The King of Swords can touch so many different categories. Really every career can benefit from that card. And it's basically just saying, people want to hear what you have to say. So raise your hand, speak up, step to the front. Remember that we got the star card for everybody this month too. So this is your chance to really show your true potential and shine and rise above, okay? And it comes in the way, in particular, of your sort of like communication. And that was the Catalyst card. So all of the cards that I'm seeing, it doesn't surprise me because I'm reading for the sun, are saying, speak up, okay? That's the message for sun. Let's look at rising and ascendant next. Now, this is what you project to the world. It isn't necessarily where you're at just yet, but it is where you want to be, and it is what you want people to see. So it is the projection. For some, it's the facade. For some, it's how you kind of want to touch the world and make a difference around you. So we're checking in on how you're projecting. The one comment that I would have is that it feels like you're doing really good work at attracting attention and attracting opportunity, because Three of Cups is great for that. The card in reverse is a warning, however, to avoid gossip and also to ignore gossip. So if you say something, Full warning with the Three of Cups in reverse, it has a way of finding its way back to the person that you're talking about. So don't do it. And if other people have negative things to say, if it's just one or two people, there's always going to be someone that's rude. So you're going to just let it go. And sing your own song, focus on celebrating good achievements, and make time for the people you love the most. I like the celebratory aspects of Three of Cups, which is saying, I'm going to make time to look at where I'm at in my life and celebrate the success. I'm going to say thanks and celebrate the contributions that someone else has brought into my life as well. I'm going to make time to spend with the one that I love or date if I'm not with somebody. This is about prioritizing joy, relationships, and interactions, okay? So you're doing a good job at that, and this would be a good time to have like a mixer. If you're doing something, with friends or family or colleagues, it's a great time for dating. And if you're in a relationship, it's a good time to talk about where you stand, because the Three of Cups is sort of like a question card when I'm looking at existing relationships. It's about rekindling a spark or deciding like, are we still on the same page? If you're single and looking, it's a card that's saying, what are you doing about that? Are you getting out there? Are you a little shy? And if you're single and happy, it's saying, don't limit your possibilities because people might be knocking at your door anyway. Okay, so you have really good social energy coming through for the ascendant this month. Don't focus on gossip. Don't worry about what people are saying. People are always saying something, especially if you're doing something that's impactful. There's always going to be positive and negative, and that's just the name of the game sometimes. All right, let's move on to the Moon card. This is often the part of ourselves that we're trying to discover. We don't always sort of like put this on our sleeves with everybody in our life. This is the part that we kind of keep close, right? It does have a way of coming out in relationships. It has a way of coming out everywhere if we don't deal with it. So let's look at the big opportunity when it comes to the Moon. We have control and independence. And one thing that this particular illustrator did a great job of showing is a breaking of this sort of old paradigm. So in the traditional Chariot card, you would see two horses and one person with the reins to the two horses. In this one, we see a wild steed that carries with it the symbolic energy of the chariot. No one's controlling it. It isn't competing against or kind of having to work with another horse. It's a very solo energy here. So themes of independence, themes of control, and more importantly, self-control. You are not pulling the reins to someone else. They are not pulling it to you. You are a free and wild spirit. And that's what we're seeing. And this sort of freedom and unbridled energy is also going to attract another sort of star-like energy. We have both the sun and the star, which came through in the reading today, illustrated here. The pentacle can be a star. So I like that. And you're right in between that. You're the one that's calling it into focus. So the buck stops with you when it comes to accountability and control. And in relationships, you're not necessarily having to answer to someone. And if someone's not listening to you, sometimes you have to remind them of like what the protocol is. That, if particularly if someone's just not doing their job, just say this constitutes, part of your job description. This is part of what's required. So why aren't you doing it? I need your help on this. So you have more power than you think. And this is your chance to own that power and make sure that when you call in new relationships and new experiences, there isn't the sort of tug of war coming through. So if we just look at all three one more time, we have a nice sort of overarching message here for Sun, Rising, Moon, which is to speak your voice for the sun, which is to engage in social activities and not to pay too much attention to any sort of criticism that's just gossip, and to also avoid gossip for the rising. And then for the moon, really own your ability to take control and to steer this chapter of your life wherever you need it to go. Okay, so all of them are positive messages. Today was a really great reading overall. The only sort of tricky thing that I see for you is stress management, being honest and accountable and expecting that accountability with others and not sweeping something under the rug. All of this shows up in the center. Everything else is very manageable here. It can have a little bit of an effect on some of you of like, am I worth it? Can I do this? But everything else is saying yes, 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 yes. So there's just a little bit of work here. And not only that, but someone's already got your back and is already kind of like waiting for you to step into it. So a little bit of self-work to be done, but we wouldn't be showing up here if that wasn't the case, right? So I'm excited about opportunities for you. Before we step into the final portion of this reading, a couple of quick reminders here. Subscribing is free, and it's necessary to chat live, so do yourself a favor and subscribe. And also, it helps me do more videos. Once I hit, let's see, what is it, 325,000? We're about 4,000 away. It should happen maybe in the next month. It depends. It depends on the growth. It might take until next month, but once I get to 325, I decided to do a Q&A. Usually I wait until 100, but it's taking forever and I don't want to wait 4 years. So I'll start doing it on 25s instead, because it looks like that's the average growth per year. So as I'm kind of looking at that, then I will do it, or I'll change it accordingly. I think it's nice to do 1 or 2 Q&As a year. So maybe I'll just do it twice quarterly as well, or twice annually as well. But anyway, we're close to that. And anybody that is a member actually as well, if you want to show a little bit more support, you can become a member. You can ask a question when I do a Q&A. So I try to give back a little bit to folks that subscribe. Subscribers, you get to chat. Members, you get to ask questions when I do those. You can also follow me on social media if you'd like some additional reminders. We're going to enter into the meditation next. The meditation is 2 parts. We'll start with just basically centering our energy for a moment. And then after we do that and I play an instrument, I will answer a final question for you. This can be whenever you would like. And basically you just have to hold that question internally. Don't type it out. And I'll just read the collective for everybody that watches it now or watches it on replay. It works equally as well for both. For the instrument, you get 2 choices on what you'd like me to play. So let me just go ahead and put this poll up here, and then we'll get started on this meditation. And the singing bowl and the crystal pyramid are the 2 instruments. So you get a chance to vote on those right now. And go ahead and close your eyes. I'm going to take a look at the cards in front of me and see what's calling forth. You know, I really like this gateway card, where you have this chance to sort of step into a new you. And it basically says like supernova, recreation, renewal, rebirthing. So imagine that it is the dawning of a new day, that you have been through maybe a really rewarding or really challenging chapter in your life, and you get this sense that you're ready for something different. You're ready for change. You're ready for renewal. And there's just this beautiful, bright light shining through this gateway that's in front of you. I want you to take a moment to work your way to that gate and then look over your shoulder. From this vista, you can see everything, all of the little connections. It's almost like a highway you're looking back at from the distance, and it's shining and glittering behind you. Or like here in Los Angeles, if you've ever seen an image of the city at nighttime and you can see everything twinkling. Imagining now that you can see all the points in your life twinkling, and there's like this constellation or this tracing of energy. And you realize that the twists and the turns, they made beautiful patterns. They made something, it was part of a bigger tapestry. And you were part of that decision process. You were creating your own constellation of your life. And now you get to decide in a very clear, mindful, and a very practical way, like, what do I want to do next? Because there were parts in the past that were random. As children, sometimes we were taught that we just had to listen. As young adults, perhaps we didn't realize our own potential. Even as adults, we were conditioned by society and by the world at large to sometimes second guess our power or our ability to participate or shape the world around us. In no way now do you ever sort of doubt your potential or your power when it comes to stepping into what's in front of you. So imagine now that you can be very, very clear about what you expect next, what you want next, what you're ready for next. And in the same way that I was kind of seeing you draw or scribble in the dreams, imagine that you could maybe take a magic wand and trace something in front of you, a map in the stars, a map in the sky, that you could then, maybe even if it's something and you're very good at drawing, you could trace something in front of you and take a deep breath and breathe light and life into it, and you could see it manifest. Imagine what that would be, and imagine that when you're ready, you can step through the gateway and see yourself there with the person or at the place or accomplishing the goal that it is that you want. The universe is reaching out this beautiful hand, just like an ace of any card here, Ace of Pentacles, Ace of Cups, Ace of Wands, etc. But it's reaching out a hand and it's saying, I'm ready. Are you ready for the next step? When you are, take that beautiful, bright, divine hand that's reaching out and feel supported. Imagine that all of a sudden, just like the chalice in the Ace of Cups, there's this gigantic support underneath you and you're being held up by a bigger than life hand. And just tell the hand where you want it to take you, where you want it to transport you. You have one of the big cosmic divine energies ready to help you make a safe landing, okay? So just focus on that safe landing as I play the singing bowl for you. And then I will answer your final question. One last deep breath, and on the exhale, feel like you've made that safe landing. In your mind, say to yourself, I am enough, I am ready, and this is going to work out. This is going to be okay. I'm going to make this work. Whatever this is that you're trying to figure out, you have what it takes, and there's just this inner acceptance that is now coming through and saying, are you ready? Now it's time for us to look at the very last card for today's reading, the final card, final question. Focus on whatever it is that you might have in your mind or in your heart for me. And let's see what the cards have to say. So we have a yes card here coming through. We have the Ace of Cups, which presented itself. The Ace of Cups, of course, is a cosmic sign to follow your heart. It portends good things with love, with relationships, with anything creative. It is a yes with an exclamation point. There's not really many bad things that I can say about the Ace of Cups, except that if you aren't feeling it, you shouldn't probably be doing it. So don't fake it. Remember here that the most important thing here was to be honest, to be candid. And we see the heart coming through the throat, which is why this isn't just blue or green, it's in between. So speak with your heart, act with your heart. And I'm not talking about sort of just doing everything that you want. It's sort of like highest possible energy. This is where my heart is leading me. This is my passion, my divine passion in life. And we're not talking just a relationship either. It's sort of like what brings you a sense of engagement, passion, connection on this planet. But yes, for those of you looking for love or looking to prioritize relationships, this card portends good things when it comes to that. One interesting thing that I would say when it comes to relationships is some of you are bringing through someone that has maybe a more traditional approach. There could be even a little bit of age difference. There's a lot of wisdom there. So that's interesting. One thing to remember here again is that as we were looking at sun, rising, and moon messages, you also have a lot to offer. Now is a great time to connect and open up and not limit yourself when you're looking at new relationships. But remember, you have power too. You have potential too. So don't forget those messages as you're kind of looking at new love or things of that nature, new friendships, etc. Okay? So listen to your heart, follow your heart, and see where it takes you. All right? Great messages overall for today. Always nice to start the month off with you, Aries. And we're now at the closing portion here. So one last time, just a reminder to please click subscribe and like. If you haven't done that, you can subscribe once in a lifetime. You can do the like once per video. I'd love to see you on social media, so you can join me if you'd like, and you can take a look at the pinned comment for that. If you'd like to show support, there's still time to do that. And let's go ahead now and just say thanks to everybody that's present, and we'll wrap up from there, okay? All right, so beginning with those of you that were kind enough today to become a member, we'll start with that. And also I want to say welcome back. I do notice here as I'm looking at my monitor, a bunch of folks that are already channel members, and I appreciate that. All right, so for anybody that just joined today, let me just welcome you. Looks like Scott is rejoining after 6 months. Scott Golan, thank you. And we have Paula Hillary, who is pretty new after just 2 days there. And I think that's everybody, because I remember saying the rest of the folks on the weekend. So thank you. And now for anybody that gave a super sticker or super chat for today, let me just acknowledge that, and then we'll wrap up. All right, so for today, kicking things off, we have Aisha, thanks so much. Ingrid Bergman, Polar17, Monique Blue, Stacy DeRoche, I think it is, thank you. Jules in July, Kimberly Schultz, and the Amba. Thank you for your participation and your generosity today. I appreciate it. And that's everything. I had someone asking me about my book. Let me see if I can give you a link to it. But yeah, you can basically go to my website. This is sci-fi and fantasy. So if you're a fan of that, great. If you're not, then that's okay too. But you can read more about it on my website and see if it's your cup of tea. And it's available anywhere books are sold. But here you go. There's a link to that. My schedule will be posted a little bit later, but you can already see tomorrow's reading, which will be Taurus, and then I'll be doing the Weekend Collective on Sunday, and then next week, Gemini, Cancer, and Leo. And like I said, around the middle of the month, I will be doing a special reading, a special bonus, and then I will be doing another bonus at the end of the month. So I'm throwing in a couple of extra bonus readings, which take whatever shape they need to, or like I said, I'm going to theme the middle of the month one on sort of like acceptance and authenticity and saying what you need to say, all the themes that would be perfect for like a Pride Month reading. And I thought that'd be a nice way to give back. Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Lots of love and light to you, and have a great day. Really my pleasure to read for you and to kick the month off with you. All right. See you tomorrow. And until then, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Bye-bye.